if you are an RBI aspirant, you can get 30% marks of what is required for qualifying UPSC CSE prelims of 2025. Now in this video, we will look at the questions of UPSC CSE prelims from the economic section and understand why we RBI aspirants have an edge when it comes to this examination.
So let's start. So this is the first question on bonds. So bonds is what we study in finance, and here the question is about alternate investment funds. If you're an RBI aspirant, you would be already knowing the fact that the main investment funds are bonds and stocks. And if you want to diversify your investment, you can invest in hedge funds and venture capitalists. So definitely the alternate is these two. Next question. This is a controversial question because if you look at the fifth option, this is where it gets controversial, because if you look at the balance sheet of RBI and the concept of seigniorage, this printing and distribution of currency is considered as liability because printing costs money and it is a liability. Question also because there is no answer key for this. We cannot know what is the answer, but various coaching institutes have considered this as income of RBI, but we may not know. We may only know after UPSC releases its answer key. So let's keep it as a controversial questions. Next question. This is a fairly simple question. If you read about the current affairs or maybe even economic survey, you would know that mandates all the listed companies in India and business sustainability report is about SEBI and not RBI. So you can easily identify that this statement is wrong. So this is correct, right? Now, if you look at the question number 7, this is a fairly simple conceptual question. If you know about bondholders and stockholders, this becomes very easy. Why? Because bondholders have much importance when it comes to investment, and stockholders have the secondary. So here are three statements, and because of these three statements, it becomes difficult because the options are very confusing, and the framing itself is you should have absolute conceptual clarity to answer this. Yet it is a fairly easy question, right? And the answer is option A. Next question. If we look at this, these two questions are very difficult to solve. Now, for this, you should know the Income Tax Act, and this we may not just know the source of where to study it. So, we may skip it in the examination because not all questions are meant to be solved. Now, next question. Now, this question, if you look, this might sound confusing because you may not know about this fact. You may know or may not know about this fact, but you may definitely know that this option is wrong. And if you look at the options, you can easily eliminate that if the option 3 is incorrect, right? So this is the only option that can be true. If you look at the question number 10, capital receipts and interest, borrowings, disinvestments, right? These three. The third option, if you look at carefully, interest received on loans creates liability. Now, interests that are received on loans or investments are not liabilities, they are income. So, this option itself is wrong. And if we look at the options, if third option is wrong, again, we get it right. Next question. This circular economy question was asked already in the RBI 2024 Finance and Management paper. This concept was asked and it is very relevant right now. And it is in the news and it is also solvable even if you do not know about this concept itself. Why? Just read the options. You may know that these two options relate to statement 1. And if you look at the other options, you can easily eliminate them. For this, you need to know have this knowledge. Knowledge is required for this. You need to know about the current affairs. That it was a very famous thing in the news that India is the largest exporter of turmeric, and these three facts, if you have read, and you would be able to solve this, right? The option D. Next, this is also something which requires knowledge. And if you look at this, this is the basic facts about this scheme that was launched used to last year, right? And there was about good coverage in the PIB. So fairly easy questions. If you had read about this scheme, just read about this, you would solve. Next, this is a conceptual question and it is a fairly easy one. If you look at the syllabus, this budget questions are very famous and it is very easy as well, right? So union budget, these are the different concepts used. And these two questions, this might seem like a CSAT question, but if you know about the revenue deficit, fiscal deficit, you would be able to solve these two questions easily. Now, 15th Finance Commission question. Now, we know that we have 16th Finance, but if you know about the facts of 15th Finance Commission, this is what you have to identify. Only this fact, if you know, you would be able to solve it. Next question. Even if you do not know about this, you would still be able to solve because if you look at the statement, poverty cannot be single handedly solved by one type of institution, right? And if you eliminate the option 2, you get this fairly easy question if you even don't know the concept. Now, this is a current affairs based, and this is mentioned in the RBI syllabus explicitly that you have to read the current affairs of the payment systems, the developments, right? So I will show you. Developments in digital payments, right? Developments in digital payments. This is a fairly easy question, and this has been in the news for a long time. And if you know the fact, and even if you read the options, that there are no fixed operating hours for any payment system, right? And if you know about this fact, you would be able to eliminate this and you get the option. Correct. Now, many UPSC aspirants might fail to identify what is the correct option. But if you look at the past year papers, usually the option A in this part and option D in this part, like all five and only two, this rarely gets correct answer as a correct answer. Usually B or C. So if you look at the options, three we can identify. So if you know that Germany is not there, or maybe you use intelligent guess, this can be correct answer, right? Out of the 17 questions that I have shown, if you are able to solve 13 or 14 questions correctly in the examination, then congratulations. You have secured 30% of what is required to qualify the cutoff. Because the general category requires 92 marks, and if you want a safe score, it can be 98 or 100. So 14 questions can give you almost 30% of what is required. Now this reduces the weight on other things like polity, geography, science and tech, etc.
Now, the question number 2 is controversial, so I have kept this out of the list. And only when the UPSC releases its official answer key, we would be able to know what is the right answer for
Now
this.
this is not consistent thing in every paper. Like in 2024, we can see just 12 questions or maybe 12 or 13. Or but in 2023 there were far more questions than this, right? Yet economy is one of the most important part for prelims. Now, if you have watched this video till the end and have analyzed the economics prelims questions, then you are much ahead of the competition. 90% of people who claim to prepare for UPSC don't even analyze the PYQs properly. So if you have watched this, you will make it a best attempt if you prepare for these questions. So